Welcome to the Sports Trading Card Hall of Fame. Today I'm going to be doing a book report that is going to be quite a bit different. What I want to do is I want to look at some up-and-coming channels that have only been around for about 6 months. Basically channels that started in 2025, although there is one that just barely started right around the corner at the end of 2024. But I thought it'd be interesting to look at some of the new channels that are popping up where they haven't yet found their footing necessarily. So it'll be interesting to see if all 5 of these channels continue for a long time down the road. It'll be interesting to see how they evolve as content creators. So that's kind of the idea. It's kind of like a simple little introduction to see what the next generation of sports card channels, the people who are going to be contributing to the hobby. And 2 of the channels are kind of unique in a way. I would say a fair number of these channels are fairly unique. But yeah, this is going to be a pretty cursory look at the channels. There's not a lot to talk about because they haven't really done very much. And so it's really more what they're bringing to the table from the outset. That's really kind of the spirit of what I'm going to be looking at here with these 5 channels. And the first of the channels is a fine card collector. Now, Jeff is the one who created this channel. This is a channel that's been around for a while. I think 2013 was when he started the channel, but he's only been making videos for like a month or 2 at the time that I'm doing this video. So he is very, very fresh to the hobby. He does have 117 subscribers. He's got 16 videos, so he's been putting a fair number of videos up. The channel was originally Jato31, I believe, but when he decided to, obviously very recently, go ahead and add his voice to the sports card community, because he'd been a part of the community for a while. And when he said that the reason that he chose the name A Fine Card Collector is a play on fine art. So instead of a fine art collector, he's a fine card collector. So actually that's a really, really creative channel name, which I think that's pretty cool. But I do have to note that he has made good choices in his life because he is a Bears fan, and that's awesome. Now, he is a vintage card collector, specifically on baseball, and I believe vintage cards is what all of these channels are. We'll see as we go along, but vintage cards is very much a part of very much a through line throughout these different videos. And I believe all of the channels are channels where they start off talking to the camera and then they switch over and do faceless work showing off the cards themselves. Although sometimes you will see some of the channels where they'll spend more time talking in front of the camera. But again, they're all very recent, so they're starting to kind of get into the flow of things. And in the case of Jeff's channel, he is a vintage card collector, but he collects into the 1980s, and he collects registry sets. So that's kind of where he's coming from for his channel. The next channel is Straight Race Cards. This is, they're all channels from this year. In this case, he has 217 subscribers, so he's done a really good job of engaging with other channels. He's got a pretty good number of channels that are watching, and he only has 18 videos, so he's working his way up. Now, in this case, he's a young family man who's still not that far out of college, and so he very much has much of the spirit of being a college guy, and not like a party college guy. I mean, the name Straight Race Cards is very much indicative of the fact that he wears religion on his sleeve, and he oftentimes will quote Bible verses. He's not preachy. It's just a part of who he is, and it comes through very cleanly, which is kind of cool. Now, what I really like is that he is a fellow runner. Now, I don't know if he's track and field or if he is cross country, but he was a competitive runner in college, whereas for myself, I never did competitive running. I've just done it as a hobby, but it's always fun for me when I run into a fellow runner. Now for Matt, he is a vintage card collector, but he's really into Olympics cards, which actually kind of, I like that too, because a year ago I was able to do a series of videos on the Olympics, and it was really fun to get into those various sets. Now he does old Olympics, so he's doing, the 20s and the 30s. I didn't do that in the work that I did. I did stuff that was more recent. So it's cool to see some of the stuff that he pulled together. But it adds a very unique quality to his channel. The fact that he brings in the array of sports that are in the Olympics and gives you a little look into sets that pretty much everybody skips over. So that's really pretty cool. And two things that he likes to collect are Alkaline, and he also likes to collect stuff related to Chariots of Fire, which is his favorite movie, which I can totally understand. That's a really cool movie, especially for runners. The next channel is Neal Sports Card Stories. This is a channel with 111 subscribers, so it hasn't made it quite as far as any of the other channels, and yet he does have 33 videos. So he's been putting in a good number of videos. So hopefully things are going to kind of pick up for him pretty soon. But again, everything's really recent, so we've got plenty of time down the road. His name is Paul, and he's a PE teacher, and he is a vintage collector. Again, he likes to work. He's got a project where he works on Brooks Robinson and Orioles cards, but I think he's recently moved to Indianapolis, so he's now become a Pacers fan. So I don't know if he's doing much in terms of collecting Pacers cards, but that's a big thing for him recently because the Pacers have been very much on a run. So it's been a big part of his identity. Now, the fourth channel is kind of tied into the second channel, which for the fourth channel, it's Rev Steve's Cards. Steve Miller is his name, and he is a reverend. So he doesn't talk much about the faith, or you're not hearing Bible verses. That's just something that Matt was doing that's more natural to Matt. Whereas for Steve, this is entirely his personal time type of an affair. But he said that the reason he has Reverend or Rev in his channel name is he wanted to do something kind of distinct, and that certainly is distinct. So it's a cool little quirk that makes him a little bit more distinct. His channel has 41 videos, so he is the most prolific content creator amongst the whole group, though he does have 117 subscribers. Now, he's a Pirates fan, so he collects Pirates cards. He also likes Rickey Henderson. I think Rickey is his big mid-era person that he likes to collect. And interestingly, he talks about how he's a binder collector, but he's not a set collector. So for him, binder collecting is very different from how I collect binders, which is, it's interesting to hear our different approaches and our different perspectives on card collecting. So the last channel is Jay's Average Vintage Collector. This is the channel that started just at the end of last year. It's got 242 subscribers, so it's made the furthest progress, which makes sense. It's been around a while. He's got, I believe it's 36 videos at this point, and he's another vintage collector. Obviously, it's right there in his name, and he collects the Astros and the Bills. That's his big thing. I didn't really gather too much more that was really distinct with his channel. There's not quite the level of personality in terms of what he brings right at the front end. So he's going to be opening up more, as we all do, over time. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But that is the 5 channels I wanted to look at to just see kind of right at the beginning what some of the sports card channels that we're going to be enjoying down the road, where they, how they're starting out and who they are. So yeah, it's an interesting exploration to do this. I wanted to do this to kind of get a different feeling for channels as I go through this journey that I'm going through. So yeah, we'll get to see how these channels progress, and I'll get back to doing longer term channels for my next book report. So other than that, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And thanks for watching.